All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to get started. Brandon just made the comment that we have the Twitter fan club out there. So thank you all for showing up. This session's called Beyond the Blog, and we're excited. It's going to be more of a roundtable discussion, which I think will be great just because we have so many different insights here. So what they're going to do is this panel is going to help steer us in the direction on everything from the meaning of an evolving blogger to trend spotting tips and creating unique product solutions for our ever-changing modern consumer. So here with us today are our 5 evolved bloggers who are experts across a wide range of fields. So just start and go down the line, and then of course they'll fill you in a little bit more. But first we have Leslie Claggett of kbculture.com. She's a journalist specializing in residential design, and as you probably know, served as editor-in-chief of Kitchen and Bath magazine for 8 years before starting her own blog. Next up is one of our resident kitchen experts, Susan Sarah. She's an NKBA member and blogger at The Kitchen Designer. She's an award-winning designer with her firm Susan Sarah Associates Incorporated and boasts more than 20 years of experience in design. She's a frequent go-to expert on kitchens for national media outlets such as HGTV. Here we have Caitlin. She's the digital content director at kitchens.com and ibaths.com, and she helps provide inspiration for consumers who are looking to remodel or rebuild their kitchens or baths. So, in addition, Caitlin has contributed to This Old House magazine and consults business owners on digital marketing strategies. We have Brandon, who's a principal designer on digital marketing strategies, principal designer at spatial design firm D. Coop and LEED, accredited professional. He's a lover of architecture and furniture, and he has an eye for extreme detail. Brandon's 13 years of experience has taken him all over the world, from San Diego to Dubai, and he specializes in creating sustainable and budget-friendly facility solutions. And last but not least is Marilyn Russell. She's the president and principal of Design Magnifique. So while Veronica Miller from Mundanus was not able to make it today, Marilyn has graciously joined us to share her passion for blogging, and we're so glad to have her here. She's very involved in social media too, and she recently was part of the Mundanus blog tour of New York City, so I'm sure she'll be sharing her experience with that. So without further ado, I guess one of the first questions that we wanted to ask is, who here has a blog? Okay, so that's a good number. Who here has thought about starting a blog? And just a check, I'm assuming everyone here is very familiar with blogging and follows them at least, if they haven't even thought of starting one. So just to kind of get a gauge of our audience, I think we're all pretty even here. So really, the purpose of this is, I'm sure you've noticed that the boundaries of blogger is quickly blurred. It's really spanning the mix of digital marketing channels now. And of course, our bloggers really are esteemed voices within the industries, and I know that's how we look at them. So I think we'll just start working our way down the line, and I'll start with Leslie and ask you, how did you get started as a blogger?
I got started as a blogger on a Monday. It was the Monday after the Friday my magazine was shut down. It was, I had a need to convey what I know about this industry and what I love about this industry, and I didn't want to just stop talking just because I was deprived of a print audience anymore. And it was an instinctive thing to do, and with no endorsement implied here, but with the help of Blogger, which is a Google platform, basically a non-technical person like myself was up and running a blog in the space of a weekend. Hit the button, and magic, it happened. So it was...
you followed the instructions? And
I followed the instructions. They were written for cross-media people, and I've never missed a day.
Great.
3 years now.
Susan, how about you?
Well, I began in, I started putting my, can you hear me? Yeah, it is on. It's switched.
Can everybody hear? Just no.
No. I have a green battery.
Just put it on your collar.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, how's this? Better? Okay, great. So, as Mandy said, I have had my own kitchen design firm for many years, and I I guess when blogging began to emerge as a business tool, I thought it might be interesting to first and foremost share some of that knowledge that I really wanted people to know about, details and tips and inspiration and conflict resolution with, I don't know why that comes to mind, maybe because I've been in the business for a long time. But I just have a lot to share. So I began in very late 2006, and I've been blogging for a little over 5 years. And again, the point for me was really just sharing inspiration, sharing information, and whatever inspires me is what I share.
So my background's slightly different, since Kitchens.com is more of an online magazine than a blog, although we're a resource for design bloggers to come to as well as contribute to. So my background was writing in journalism and doing design at this old house in Rodale. And eventually I joined Kitchens.com and have been a point of contact for designers who want to contribute tips or design ideas or photos to get exposure, reach consumers, and network with other designers.
Ooh, my turn. Okay. So mine was, I actually have an interior architecture firm, but I'm on the commercial side of things. I do a lot with office and industrial properties, and it's not the most creative, sector of the industry. Those warehouses are great to design, seriously. So I had a slow point in the market. California was hit pretty hard on the design side last year, and it started with Twitter and 140 characters. And then I realized after a lot of tweets and a lot of 140 characters that I couldn't fit what I wanted to say in that amount of space. And so I took my writing style and it turned into a blog. And in the end, it's become more of an outlet for me to kind of creatively express myself in the areas that I don't necessarily get to work with. So my blog is not just about interior design, it's about automotive, it's about food, it's about, I'm writing about all of you guys once I get back home. It's something different. It's a way for me to kind of go into the other areas that I don't necessarily get to do on a daily basis.
Hello. Can you hear me? For me, interior design was a second career. I was a construction defect claims adjuster. And so once I started blogging, that was my avenue to connect to people in the interior design industry. So I started blogging about things that I liked, inspirations, things that would appeal to my eye. But also I started meeting interior designers, and then I started learning. And so I keep blogging, and I continue to blog because I learn as I blog.
All right, thank you all. Just to kind of give you a little heads up about how we plan on doing this, I think really for a bulk of the time, maybe 45 minutes, we'll just be having a kind of a conversation on some of the things that they find hot within the industry, the trends that they're spotting, and then we'll definitely open it up in the last 15 minutes for questions from the audience. So if you think of something, definitely hold on to that, and we can approach it at the end. Okay, I'm just curious for all of you, what is one tip you can share with a beginner blogger who wants to build a following online?
Just write.
Jump in.
Just jump in and just write. It's not, there's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. Eventually you'll find your voice, but just start it and just write.
I would say,
Yeah, I would keep your mics.
okay.
Sorry,
I would say it's easiest, for me anyway, it's easiest when I'm inspired by something. If I see something here, whatever, and you don't always know, you can't always look for it. It sort of finds you, and when something does speak to you, you can write it down for a future date or to blog about. But for me, it works best when I'm inspired by something specific.
One thing that I would mention to people, particularly if you're brand new to putting your thoughts and pictures out in the public realm, is don't be afraid to hit preview. You can see your work, you can check it before you send it out into the world. Make judicious use of preview. And it builds your confidence. You get familiar with the mechanics of, what button to push when. And remember, you can always take it back down if something terrible happens.
I think I'd add that, as a writer, you absolutely 100% have to be yourself. And if you're lacking in authenticity, your readers will pick up on it very quickly. So if you're, don't be fake in your writing style. I'll admit there's a little cursing on my blog, there's some drinking, there's a little debauchery, but that really, for me, that's what's been attracting people to my blog, is that I'm more conversational. So if you go out there and you're trying to be somebody else's blog, it's not going to happen, it will not take off, and you'll lose the readers because of it.
On Brandon's point, I was going to say that you should write what you know and use your voice. If you write what you know and share information, you're going to enhance your experience as a brand, and I think that that's only going to help you. I think that sometimes people are maybe a little concerned about sharing information. You're giving something away for free, but really it's just a way for you to network and enhance your brand as a designer.
Well, great. Well, I think that kind of perfectly segues into our next question, which is what makes a successful blog post. So I think in addition to having your own voice, we're curious about what types of blog posts for you have gone the most viral or received the most commenting and, engage your audiences.
The ones with the most curse words. No, actually, that's an interesting question. I wrote a series that was called, and I'm going to curse, I'm sorry, Why Green Makes Me Bitchy. And it has been one of my most popular series simply because it was controversial and it started conversation. And that was, I never saw it kind of taking off that way, because each of those posts are 1,500 words. I mean, they're mini novella. I call them novellas, but they really took off. But it was something that I was super passionate about. And so when I wrote it, they were very quick posts too. It was just, I spilled information very quickly. But for me, those have been my biggest, most popular. And yes, it was a little cursing and drinking in there, but still.
As an online magazine, we see content that's easy solutions, really boil down for readers information about, say, I don't have a kitchen island. What can I do with my countertops to replace the kitchen island? If you offer readers a simple solution, it's going to go viral. I mean, even just on Pinterest, people will pin your article with the photo that goes with it. Say it's a pan organizer. And all of a sudden that pan organizer is all over Pinterest, and people are arriving to your blog to find out what you have to say about storage solutions. Is there simple information that are real problems that people who have kitchens have?
And I have about 3 that I can think of. One is that comes back to me repeatedly with questions, emails, is I did one very early on slate countertops. And I've had good experience with slate countertops, a particular type of slate. So that was a very informative blog post, and I think it's helped a lot of people. Another one is about how to design a banquette, which if it's designed wrong, it's a nightmare, it's uncomfortable. I believe a banquette should be super comfortable and real, big, tall, soft cushions, but it can't be too tall, or else you can't dine at the proper height. So the banquette may need to be 14 inches tall, which is very short. So I did a whole thing on that. And then another one from a lot of pros, I did one on Auto Kitchen, which I love. Amazing graphics and so on. It just really made me very excited, and a lot of pros continue to ask me about that. So those are 3.
I found that through tracking my readers' responses and hits through Google Analytics, I have found that the topics of content very much parallel what we covered in the magazine. The number 1 field of interest is overall kitchen design, followed very, very closely by storage ideas. Whether it's storage in the bath or storage in the kitchen. I think my all-time high hit post was about hidden storage or hidden seating and table surfaces in the kitchen. I think it was a Hayfula product. Pull out seating, pull out table, push them back in. But there was surprisingly, there was no dilution of focus between print and online.
It's interesting. One of the questions that kind of is along the same vein is,
Oh, it's the flash mob.
Yay, boogie!
Nice work, Brandon.
anyhow, what is some of the things that you do and keep in mind to keep your blog content fresh and interesting? I don't know if you have maybe a strategy, any kind of content strategy, or it's really just kind of what's coming to mind. I'm sure it's different for everyone.
Well, I wanted to go back to that question that you asked before, what made everyone, the one thing that made my blog take off was the blog tour. The blog tour NYC that I did last month. And because it involved designers and design bloggers from across the pond, the people wanted to see what we were doing, what we were talking about, what was happening each and every day. And that really, people kept coming back to wanting to know, what was going on. And that really made my blog take off a lot.
Any other additions before we move on to the next question? One of the things that we were talking about is, what do you do to keep your content fresh, just so you're not writing about the same thing or keeping in tune? And I think, just like Leslie had shared, Google Analytics is a good way to do that.
So for me, there's three different avenues. The first one, actually my biggest right now, is I'm a Twitter whore. These groupies over here know, in about a year, I did 16,000 tweets, and I get so much response back from that I really get inspired by the people that are following me, the people that are responding to me, the manufacturers, the brands. I mean, it's surprisingly what kind of content shows up on Twitter is, and you don't just follow designers. You follow everybody. I follow Audi. I follow Louis Vuitton, to get what they're getting at. I'm following random fashion designers, and who was it? Avis of India is following me this morning. I'm like, okay, whatever. But you never know where that inspiration is going to come from. My second is that I'm from California, and we have no shortage of crazy there. So the inspiration comes from that. And then just the third is really just the events and the things that you're out doing. The experiences when I'm on a job site, something just comes to me, and I'm like, I've got to remember this so I can write it down. Or being here at the shows and seeing the great new stuff. Or I wrote a post about salt, true, and it was just something different, but you never know where the inspiration. And then guest posting too. I get a lot of guest posters. Every Wednesday I have a new poster come on.
Well, yeah, and to exactly what Brandon's saying, it helps if you're open as you go out and about in your day and your week and your appointments and whatever. It helps to be open and to just pause for a moment if something speaks to you, and be aware of that inner voice, and it will speak to you, and write it down and remember it, and that's really the best when something touches you. But if you're open to it, it can come from anywhere at any time, and it's all good. So you can tie it back to the kitchen, the kitchen industry, the kitchen focus. It depends on what your focus is. Mine, I keep mine really kitchen focused. I don't go off into other areas, but I will add personal. I'll add some personal things, or general interior design inspirations, and bring that into a kitchen focus. But for me, my blog is mostly kitchen focused.
I think that mentioning Twitter again is worthwhile for finding, information about what other designers are seeing, or good story ideas for what you want to post on your blog. Twitter is just a fabulous way to connect. I know that we asked about blogs. How many people are on Twitter? And do you use it regularly?
Right now.
I think it's really worthwhile and it can be a little daunting for some people, and there are really great ways, like the various chats that happen, like the KB Tribe chat, to connect with people. This is actually how Marilyn and I, before coming up here, were talking, and she was surprised to hear that I follow her, and it's because I was introduced to her through Twitter by other designers retweeting her brilliant ideas. So getting on Twitter, sharing what you know, and connecting with designers across the country, as well as what other resources are within your neighborhood, your community, you're really going to get your name out there and more traffic to your blog and more blog story ideas.
Yeah, I just want to second that on Twitter. I've been on Twitter since, I guess, 2009, and it's my, I call it my more informal voice, and I'm just much more myself, you know, just in a more casual way. I mean, I don't talk about what I had for breakfast, but I might talk about, well, I did say that I went shopping on Michigan Avenue on Monday, so that was very exciting for people to read, but Twitter's amazing.
Well, we're all 5 connected through Twitter, but this is the first day all 5 of us have ever been in the same room together.
Yeah.
But we've all chatted together for months, if not
Years.
longer. Yeah.
I take a little more structured approach to my blog content. It's not quite so much, you know, how I'm feeling today or what I see or was it a beautiful sunshine. I do a lot of product research. This is my training, this is my background, but I'm not a designer. I'm a journalist, I'm an editor. And so how I generate content is just, it's a job, you know, just like everything else. You go out and you research new products, you discover your sources, it takes up a lot of time.
Well, yeah, and this is definitely the place to be doing that. You know, there's a lot of ground to cover, as I'm sure you can tell, and I know that some of you have had a chance to really walk the floor and absorb it so far, and others have not and are excited, you know, and have a couple things on their list to see. So we'd love to know, you know, a couple products that you, you know, just have been fascinated with or really struck your fancy while you've been here so far, or that you're excited to see.
I learned yesterday, this was like my fun fact of the day, that the trash can for the wastebasket in the bathroom that Jason Wu designed for Brizo, he designed because he didn't have his own wastebasket in his bathroom that he liked. So he basically was like, I'm going to make this for myself, and you can use it as well. Very like specific about even how heavy the bottom was, and it's his trash can, really, no one else's.
I liked I was excited to see the porcelain slabs that I think they're very thin. I had seen them in the kitchen show in Spain in 2010, and they were not in this country yet. This is a different company. Coincidentally, they're also made in Spain, but they come in beautiful colors and super thin and wonderful textures. And so it's an alternative to most everything. And so I think that was one of the most exciting products so far. I have a bunch of pictures.
I've noticed a trend in general, and I just prefer not to name specific manufacturers, of down dimensioning bathroom units from vanities to tubs, and you know, they're responding to the new housing situation of people using smaller houses, smaller spaces. I think the bath industry is responding very quickly to that, and their response is not compromising on the aesthetics of the product, which is very heartening. You know, you've got a younger generation that was raised with a higher awareness of design, I think, than people my own age generally, and so they're not going to want to compromise on the beauty side, but the physical and the fiscal reality of things are forcing products to get smaller. That's really interesting to me.
I'm very intrigued by new kitchen organization, if you will. The way cabinets are more streamlined, the way they open, the way they slide versus open out, drawer organizations. And I like it because Florida is for the retirement committee, so it's really nice where you can have a kitchen where they can, you know, they don't have to bend all the way down for something. They can just easily find something, and they're all backlit. I love that. It's really nice.
I get excited over the most random details, and not normally what other people get excited about. So I had 3 favorites. My first was Toto's new 1.0 gallon per flush toilet. That is super exciting. It puts them right at the top. I did a dissertation more or less on toilet flushes, and that is just, it's the top of the industry right now. My second, going to organization, is the integrated saran wrap holder in Pogue and Pole's cabinetry. Told you. Totally excited about random things. And then I really fell in love with Samuel Heath's New Style Moderne collection. They've taken the Art Deco period pieces and they've added in this contemporary, all they did was really add in this gloss lacquer to some of their pieces, and it has changed it entirely, and it's extremely beautiful. So those are my 3 favorites for the show.
Great. Well, I think too, Leslie and Marilyn got us kind of thinking in the direction of trends. So I'd love to hear, in addition to any kind of products that we've talked about that we spotted, just some kind of trends of KBIS that you're also taking notice of.
Definitely grays, warm grays, and everything from tile to cabinetry to, other finishes. I also have seen more natural, sort of organic finishes on cabinetry. Again, often in the muted, warm gray tones, or even a medium brown tone where you can see a kind of, you can kind of see the grain of it. It might be a matte finish. So those are a couple of, off the top of my head.
Okay. Anyone else?
Kind of seeing, I think in the past, I think because it's not on. Okay, it doesn't like me now. Okay, this is fun. So I think the one thing I'm really seeing is that companies are going back to their existing products and really focusing on details. And there are a couple of companies that they have the same great products, but they're going back and saying, okay, what can we do better? And really maximizing the dollar value that you're getting out of certain products. So like I'll just point out one in particular with Sub-Zero. Everyone knows them. They're a great brand. They've been around for eons. But they're starting to take some of these features and push them further back into the refrigeration. And I think that's great. These integrated water things, people are asking for them, but Sub-Zero's never really paid that much attention to it. Now it's there, it's in the back. Looking at hinge details and saying, how can we make these stronger, making their products last longer. Finally we're getting back to that era of these appliances, some of these bigger features they're durables again. You're spending $2,000, $3,000, $10,000 on a unit and getting that value out of it now.
I was going to mention, along the line of organic, also texture. I feel like everywhere I'm going, I'm seeing texture, whether it's backsplash tile or cabinet finishes, seeing that paintbrush, whether it's actually there or not, and gray as well. Those are the 2 big things I had noticed on the show floor yesterday.
Great. In addition to places like, KBIS, which is kind of the launching pad of innovation, and I'm sure you've seen the Uncontained exhibit and just really understanding how different generations are influencing each other. What are other ways that you spot trends for your readers? What are other resources for you?
Besides other trade shows, there's, I think it's a British equivalent to Pinterest, which preceded Pinterest actually by at least a year. It's called thefancy.com.
Yes.
And just lovely, elegant, beautiful ideas. It's a good crowdsourcing type of thing.
For me, trade shows is very important. Fortunately for me, I'm in the New York area, so I can hit a couple of great New York trade shows. Always go to KBIS. It's probably my 21st or 22nd KBIS. Last year I went to 3 or 4 European trade shows, and I was in Blog Tour, the London version in September, and I'll be going to Denmark once or twice. I went to that Copenhagen Design Week last August. So trade shows for me are very important. Also, I get press releases in my inbox almost every day. I read them all. Pinterest, not so much because I'm busy doing other things, but trade shows, blogs, absolutely. Looking at other blogs, what I try to do is connect the dots. And at the trade shows, I really try to connect the dots and keep aware. And if you go to a few a year, then especially interior design, I went to High Point last year, interior design shows too, that will give you a more global vision, especially because the kitchen is so integrated with surrounding rooms now, and people want a more connected, integrated space with surrounding rooms. So I feel, interested in the more global vision of the home.
Well, I think too, as we kind of go down the line and discuss this, feel free to add in any blogs that we should be paying attention to, any people that you follow on Twitter, any other resources that you think may be helpful for our audience to kind of tune into. I know that you mentioned the Fancy.
Appliance Design Magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Nice work. I think it's really important for me to stay up to date on the business side of the industry as well. The other day I learned that they're going to be resuscitating caloric appliances.
Really?
They're coming out with a full line in the fall.
Wow.
I mean, this,
Wow.
most of you people have never even heard of them, but
Yeah.
it's a storied brand with an unusual history, and to hear that they're coming back, I'm very curious about it.
Yeah. Interesting.
There's I'm sorry. Do you want? There's so many blogs out there. It's really hard for me to just name one, but where I look for my trends besides trade shows is just basically talking to people on Twitter. I love to engage people and just ask them, and see what they're even tweeting about, and just get them talking. It's like the most convenient way for me is just ask somebody. I love it.
I think that's the great thing about Twitter is that you can get a sense of what's going on around the country and around the world in like 2 seconds in terms of trends. And I think that using the fancy Pinterest can be something of an echo chamber at times, but also I think worthwhile seeing what people are, what's resonating with them. But it's great to finally get in person and connect at these trade shows with the people who you've been connected to digitally. And I do think Twitter, again, is a really good way to do that.
And the tweet chats, if you haven't been to a tweet chat, just look up tweet chats. And that is great information. And you really are on the current momentary edge of what people are thinking, other designers are thinking, and the tweet chats are really
interior
great.
designer chat.
Yeah, and the KB, you have to do the KB Tribe chat Wednesdays at 2 p.m. And
Eastern time.
Huh?
Eastern time.
Eastern time. No one.
1 p.m. here today. It's happening 1 p.m. today.
Isn't
so
everyone
check
on
in.
Eastern time?
Thinking of the whole idea of Eastern time, being on California, a lot of the great trade shows are here and in New York and not in California. We get Dwell on Design, which is how's this? Better? Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry. I don't like these handholds, but whatever. So it's really difficult for me to get on a plane and go because I have to lose 3 days, 4 days to do it. So for me, having an insane network of representatives on the West Coast, people know what I like, and the different reps that I work with and that I know well, they know what I like, they know what I'm looking for. So as soon as a product hits their desk, it's on mine. And you can't know the entire industry, from the entire design industry all at once. So having all these people at your disposal to say, hey, by the way, this totally hit my desk, this is totally awesome, you need to look at it, it makes my job 20 times easier. And going back to Twitter, I'm just gonna fourth or fifth, this one. Twitter is probably the quickest way to get information. It's like news. Who cares about the TV news anymore? People know when things happen before they happen. I think there was a joke that said that when there was the earthquake on the East Coast, people knew about it further south before it hit them, and they were tweeting about it as it was happening, type of thing. So Twitter is the fastest, quickest way to get the newest information, the quickest. It puts you in touch with the trade shows, it puts you in touch with the manufacturers, the PR people. Obviously, they want to get you, they're like, okay, guess what? We have this coming out. You're put in touch with all these people immediately. It's the quickest way to spot trends this day and age.
I think we're all kind of on the same page with how we feel about Twitter and how we're using it at the show, so that's Let's make KBIS trend. But we've kind of had mixed reviews on Pinterest, so I'm curious, and I'm sure everyone, maybe it's not relevant to your audience or you use it in different ways, so I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on it and how you use it if you do.
I think Caitlin's point about it being an echo chamber is really, really accurate. You just see the same stuff over and over again, go to a different site and you see it over and over again. In so many times, my experience of the web in general is that it's just a great big Xerox machine. And to really dig and get original content is a challenge. So, Pinterest is a wonderful visual vehicle, but you said it perfectly, an echo chamber.
Yeah, I think that the trick with Pinterest is to follow people who you trust who are going to be pinning original content, and to also pin original content yourself. Not to just go to the Pinterest homepage and see the same thing about how to work out your thighs again. Going to Pinterest, finding people you know who are other designers, who are resources in the industry, and following them, I think will be really useful. Another tip with Pinterest that I'm not sure everyone knows is that you can actually see whether people are pinning anything from your blog or your website by going to Pinterest.com and then going /source and then your URL. So I would do /source /kitchens.com, and I can see every single thing that every single person has ever pinned from my site. And if you have a blog, that's another great way to see whether or not things you're writing are resonating with people who are stumbling upon your blog.
Actually, in terms of, those are good points. In terms of Pinterest, from the beginning, I felt that I have, from all the design shows I go to and so forth, I have so many thousands of images that I also, in addition to wanting to share things on the blog, that I want to share on Pinterest. So most of my pins are from my original images from those design shows, and it's a great resource for you too. You, in your town, you go to a showroom, you go, to design shows. That's most of my content is from that. It's a great way to share it. And then it's your stuff and credited directly to you. I think it's a good way to do it.
I'm kind of a selfish Pinterest user, I'll be honest. I don't do it for everybody else. It's great for people who like to pin things for other people to see. But for me, I actually use Pinterest as just a personal library. I'm a midnight internet person. And so, I'll find an image I like, something inspiring, and I'll pin it specifically for myself so that I have a reference to come back to and I don't forget about it. I'm actually looking forward to Pinterest bringing up private boards simply for that matter, just because it's for me, it's not for everyone else. Sorry, guys.
No, I do the same thing, Brandon. I do it just for myself. It's where I go to find inspiration, and like Brandon said, I'll pin something right before I go to sleep because it's for me. I don't do it to find to drive traffic really, or I don't do it to engage with clients. I do it simply for me. Sorry, I'm selfish with Pinterest.
I think that's a great point. I think it's like blogging.
It just depends on your goal with Pinterest.
You should do it for you, or you should do it if you want to share things or experiences or details.
Yeah.
Are there any other social media channels that we haven't talked about yet that you feel strongly
Facebook.
about?
Did we talk about Twitter?
Not yet.
Nobody mentioned Facebook at all.
Yeah.
Facebook, I do Google Plus, I do Stumble Upon.
What are your thoughts on Google Plus and those?
Google Plus for me, I just don't know. I'm not on there often enough. I don't understand the whole +1 thing. It's kind of confusing to me. I guess because I'm not on there often enough. But I do get traffic from there towards my blog. I still post my blog on there. I have people pin my blogs on there or post my blogs on there, but I don't engage on there as often as I should to learn more about it. So I have no opinion about it yet.
I'm on Google Plus with one of my brands and personally, and I love the interface. I really love it. I think it's just really clean, and I don't know, I just really like it. I also attended a hangout on Google Plus recently that was on lighting by James Bedell, I think is his name. And it was terrific, and it was just casual and informative, and you see other people. In one case, I saw this guy, his camera, it showed on the bottom of the pictures, and there was a camera of him and his messy bed in the background. It was a little, you know, disturbing, a little weird, but I love the concept, and those hangouts can be like, you know, informative and anytime. They can
I
pop
think
up anytime.
the Google Hangouts are probably going to be the best use of Google Plus at this point, where you can video chat or just chat in and chat. I know Benjamin Moore recently did one that I tuned into. But I think otherwise, I'm having a hard time seeing what Google Plus is doing better than Facebook, and that there's such a wider audience on Facebook that as Google Plus evolves, I think that it may be a more simple resource to use, but that at this point, I'm definitely seeing more use of, and I personally am using Facebook more. And I know as a publisher, you know, I'm interested in seeing designers. We always want to feature new designers and designers' work. So I actually go on Facebook and look for designers who have posted photos on their Facebook page of their projects, because I know that if you have posted pictures of projects, if you're posting on Facebook, that you're pretty savvy, that you have nice photography, that you're willing to work with people, and I would like to reach out to you. And it's actually a really good way to get your name out there, even if sometimes it feels like you're living in a vacuum on Facebook. You're not. You should reach out, friend people in your community, other businesses you would like to be affiliated with, businesses that you work with, and post work and share ideas.
I kind of want to say one thing about social media. And, you know, we're talking about a lot of different resources, and they're all really great and fine. And most of us, all of us, probably don't have a life outside of our computer screens as a result. But the thing is you know, there's all these great resources, Facebook and Google Plus, and Stumble Upon, and Twitter, and Pinterest, and, you know, fill in the blank. And you can fill in a 26-hour day, you know. There are 26 hours, right? With social media, you really need to find what works best for you, and not everything is going to work for you. So you find your style. That's why, you know, blogging is great for people who are wordy like me, or Twitter, for that matter. You know, Facebook is a great visual resource. Google, I haven't tried the Hangouts. I might have to try this now. Here goes the rest of my day. But you really need to find what works best for you, and, you know, really be strong at those areas. So don't feel like you have to do all 12 of them at the same time, because your practice will suffer. Your
Sanity will suffer.
Be a master of some, not a jack of all. You know.
Yeah. I think that's great, and I think something that's helpful too, maybe for the audience, is to talk about how we feel social media and bloggers kind of fit into the whole marketing mix. You know, I know that blogs typically, those that have blogs generate more sales leads, if you think of it from that perspective. But also, you know, whether you're a designer marketing yourself, you have a showroom or a product manufacturer, just really where is the fit, and how can people use social media to either help promote them or whatever they're behind?
Well, I mean, blogs do, it's just known that blogs do better in search. They do much better in search. Certainly there's some, you know, analytic things and statistical things you have to be aware of, and they're talking about backlinks and that you need that. I found there's one newsletter that I get that is has amazing information, and I can't believe it's for free. And I think it's called Kuno Creative, I believe, Kuno Creative. And I get it every day, and it just tells you that search is actually changing, the rules are changing, and how people find things are changing, and it really keeps you on top of that. So that's helpful to me.
I think at the very least a blog will get your portfolio out there, and then you work from that point on, build your networks. It's probably worthwhile, I would think. It's not my experience personally, but to maybe engage a social media consultant to help you find your way at first. They can explain the parameters, and maybe clarify what you want to achieve with your business. If it's, driving retail, are you doing e-commerce? Are you looking for clients? Someone with real experience can help you shape it. Those people are out there and they can help.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you can do consulting. You can advertise consulting from your blog. I've consulted with people, around, Europe, the U.S. I have a whole kitchen job in Savannah, Georgia right now. I went to Madrid to the kitchen show in Spain, and a couple asked me if they could meet with me about their kitchen, which blew my mind. So you'd never know. It gets you out in the world. It's really exciting, and I wouldn't think you should do it. And at first it looks daunting, and you'd say, oh, well, I'll never get anywhere, and I'm just starting this blog, I'll never get anywhere. But everything you put out there, every piece of content you put out there builds on the one before, on the one to come. Everything is building, and you do have to be patient. And if you're committed, and if you like to share, and if it feels good, don't look at the big global picture of where you wish your blog were. Over time, it'll get there, and Twitter will give you a big boost. Once you get in that community, you'll get a big boost for your blog, and you'll know. And you attend Twitter chats, people will know you, and then you'll get up quicker, and then you'll get more leads and all kinds of good stuff.
In addition to looking for resources, there are blogs that give you tips about your own blog as a small business or as a designer. Also, Facebook has a page that's worth fanning or friending. That's Facebook marketing for small businesses, or Facebook marketing tips. If you search Facebook marketing, it'll come up in the results. But it is managed by Facebook, and they will keep you up. It can be a little bit daunting keeping up with social media and how much it's always changing. So if you can follow resources like blogs that track that for you, or this Facebook marketing page on Facebook, they will say, hey, just so you know, for example, Facebook is changing the size of profile pictures now. The thumbnail that shows up in timeline is no longer 110 by 110, it is 160 by 160. So, and I learned that last night at midnight because Facebook marketing pages messaged about it. So it's worth following those resources that'll keep you up to date on how to evolve.
And I think, having a public face never hurts. And, the best person for building your brand is going to be you. So the more positive information you can put out about yourself, the better your brand. I mean, it's going to help. Twitter helps because, now you're building up a following too. If you join the chats, you could end up with 30 new followers. You start chatting with them. They start retweeting your information. You post a picture. It ends up, 35 people retweet it out. A manufacturer picks it up. It makes you more influential. And, if you're doing, like I'm kind of in Susan's boat where I just finished a project in Bend, Oregon. I spent 9 months there working on a lead project. People are, I'd never met these people before, but they sure read about me, So the more information I put out there about myself, the more information they had coming to the table about me, the less I actually had to send them. I didn't have to send them the press kits, the craziness. It made things nice. And I have clients go back and read my blogs, and they see themselves in there and go, I read about me on your blog. Oh my God, I can't believe you wrote that. I'm like, yeah, you'll learn next time. But the clients like it. It's a great influence. And if you're doing work outside of your hometown or even outside of your county, people being able to see that, it just really helps your circle of influence, more or less.
I think you just have to have a little patience. Don't ever think that no one is reading your blog or no one is watching. Eyes are on you all the time, and you may not know it. You are your best brand. So just have a little patience, especially when it comes to the blogging. You will see the traffic. You will get the exposure. You will make connections. You just have to keep at it and just be yourself. That's it.
Well, thank you all. This has been so engaging, and it's been great to see everyone jotting notes out there too. So this is the time that we'd really like to open it up to see if you guys have any questions. So if you could just kind of raise your hand, and we'll stand up, and or hopefully we'll try to hear. Okay, I'll try to repeat it too. Any comments on Instagram?
Love it. Well, Instagram really is the creation of the content. Originally when I started my blog, I was pulling images from all over the internet. Now, I have it on my iPad, I've got it on my phone, I've got it in 30 other places. So when I'm out there, I'm taking the pictures myself, I'm creating that original content, and that's what's hitting my blog, and then, being pinned back to Pinterest. So Instagram, I don't know Photoshop, I don't know the complicated programs, but it gives me the ability to create better content for my blog and for Twitter without having to learn these complicated, expensive programs. All the filters, it's great. Plus Instagram, posts and you get an instant response back to some of these photos, which I think is fun, seeing the comments come back.
Instagram is the best visual tool. I love that I can be able to take a picture, send it, and you see what I see instantly. And it's, and you have the ability to just share it all over the place. So I love it. Instagram is probably my best friend.
I'm hoping Facebook does not mess it up.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the future of Instagram, we'll have to see what happens since Facebook bought it. Who knows?
Right.
Thank you.
Now, she asked how to increase your followers. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to follow other people, leave comments. As they say on other blogs, the more comments you leave brings traffic back to your own content. So following other people on Instagram, liking photos, commenting on photos, it's a great way, and it's an easy way to do it.
As with everything in social media, same there.
Great. Other questions? Yes.
For a new brand to what?
Give her attention.
Oh, I love interacting with brands because I learn stuff about products. So Twitter is probably the best way for me to see the logo and see what the brand is, and then I'll see if I'm interested, which I usually am. So I would say Twitter.
I have a contact me link on my blog, and it just goes into it's email. I prefer email contact rather than the big room of Twitter. That room gets kind of noisy for me sometimes.
I think with the Twitter side, one of the biggest mistakes a brand can make is by just being an avatar. I think it's one of the biggest complaints you hear on Twitter all the time is that you're tweeting to a manufacturer or brand and they're not responding back. So if you want that kind of response, you have to be willing to jump in and engage in the conversations too. There's some great brands that join in, like KB Tribe Chat. There's a number of brands that are there every week talking about their not just talking about their products, but answering questions, being there for the people who are there. And those are the brands that are really getting some quick response. So if you're going to be on Twitter, you have to be active.
Okay. Other questions? a good question, and just to kind of repeat it, was, you know, if you're a designer, do you start it as part of your company or as yourself as an individual? Because who knows, you know, where the road may take you in 3 years.
I would do it as an individual. I think you have value as an individual, and you're right about you don't know where the road will take you, but you will be creating your own brand. You know, I hate to use that word, but it's true. You will be elevating yourself personally, and I don't see how that could be anything negative to it.
I think it might be worthwhile just to check with your company, you know, to make sure that any images you might want to use, they don't already own the copyright to. Just think of it maybe as a visual resume. You know, when I eventually move on, I want to have friendly relationships with that company and all those people there. So not to blindside an employer with your own blog, your own brand, which they might view as competition.
Oh, I just have to say something. I just
Open
saw my
communication.
I'm sorry. I just saw my friend Linda Merrill. Linda has one of the best blogs, Surroundings. So you
Hi,
should, it's
Linda.
Surroundings, so you have to follow Linda and follow Linda's blog. She's really great.
I think
Hi,
that
Linda.
I was going to say, there's a good blogger out there. His name is Arnie Salveson. You guys know who he is? He works for a company in British Columbia, but he blogs on his own, but he references what he's doing with the company. And I think he does a really good job of keeping it relatively independent so that you're like, oh, wait, you work for another company? But still making sure that he's not being competitive against his own company. I think it's been a problem with like Facebook as content and who owns what and copyright, intellectual property. You know, with the internet age, I mean, we really get into that. So I'm totally seconding what Leslie said. You know, it does not hurt to check with your company to say, you know, listen, this is what I'm thinking of doing.
Be above board with it all.
Right.
And as far as this type of topic goes with Twitter, I know a lot of people working for companies have a Twitter account, and in their profile they say, you know, I'm representing, you know, cabinet company X, tweets are my own. So, you know, yes, there's a brand identity there that's bigger than they are, but they've also called out their specific role in this. You know, I'm not speaking on behalf of the company when I tweet. It's a good clarification that's important, I think.
Great. Yes. Sure. The question was about photographs and if there's any kind of copyright issues that we should be aware of, whether using them on our own blogs, pulling them from others.
Always
rule of thumbs?
attribute photographers, always attribute sources. If there's any question, call them up and ask them on the phone, can I use this? I mean, that's basic.
Yeah, that is the question of the season, especially with Pinterest right now, because there is so much pinning and millions of images are, you know, being passed around. It's a big one, and it's still a gray area. I don't think, you know, like Leslie said, make sure you're attributing properly everyone involved and ask.
I mean, to many people's, I mean, I use a lot of manufacturer-provided content, the images, and the companies that excel in visual promotion, you know, you want to work with them. They're very useful. It's very supportive. You can get a lot of good ideas for your general readership. But, you know, those are free use images. There's no restriction on those. But anything you find on a magazine website, and I'm sure kitchens.com is pretty expert in this field.
Yeah, I was going to add that, you know, if you're concerned about your own photography and you do have Photoshop or your photographer has Photoshop, be sure that they're adding, you can embed copyright information into a Photoshop file, into a JPEG file that gets shared around. It's worth having to be sure that your information is in there as being a designer, and absolutely check to see or attribute any sort of photography you're sharing on your blog. Linking is always nice if you are using another individual or another company's photography.
Okay.
the pinners have the liability.
Yeah, so pinners do have the liability, is what we're kind of saying here. Mm-hmm. Great. Did you have a question? It's a good question.
Personally, I would spend it on my blog. I think that's the most number one thing to me in terms of important content. And I forget the second part of your question. Oh yeah, I have 4 Facebook profiles. I have personal, I have my main company name, and then I also am the manufacturer of 2 brands. So they each have their own Facebook profile also.
And you can always streamline too to simplify your day. Connect your Facebook profile to your Twitter profile. If you haven't done that yet, you go to facebook.com/Twitter. You will connect automatically with your Twitter account, and anything you post on Facebook will automatically go into Twitter, and you can do that vice versa as well. If you want to try to, knock 2 birds with 1 stone, you can do that.
You can also do the same thing if you have, we didn't talk about LinkedIn, that other social media chamber. You can also do the same with LinkedIn. I have my Twitter account linked there, and it's funny that people are like, I was reading your tweets on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, that does exist. But to answer your questions, my 60 minutes is spent on Twitter all the time. I love my blog, but the response I get from Twitter is enormous. And then I have a personal Facebook page as well as a business one, and then I have a third one for, I have this green flocked pig that showed up in one of my dining settings for a magazine, and so he has his own page too. So, Gabe the green flocked pig.
I would spend it on my blog just because I love my blog and I love to write about things that I find. As far as Facebook, I have my own page and I have a company page, and I like to engage people on Facebook, so, it's either or.
For me, 60 minutes on the blog, that's a no-brainer, and Facebook is strictly personal. I understand, other people who have a business presence on Facebook, that they're constantly moving the bar on that. So that's one of the reasons why I don't go there.
I think as you start with Twitter, I've made so many people who have kind of transitioned from just my business life to becoming personal friends. That's when, those are the people that I'm kind of letting into my Facebook side. But I'm trying, it is really difficult to keep that line and say, you are business, you need to stay over here. But, some of those people, you can't help it.
Oh, Brandon.
We have time for one more question.
Wow.
When I first started, I posted 6 days a week, and then I went down to 5. I reclaimed a day.
I started with 5 too, and then I went down to 3. I couldn't do it. I just find it's too hard.
The magic formula question. I have a practice, so for me, blogging is not, in all honesty, it is not my priority. So, I try, my goal is to do 2 to 3 a week, and then what I did to kind of offset that is I do have a weekly guest poster, so I'm getting in that extra post that's keeping my blog, current and up to date, and that's really helped, having that extra voice.
I guess I started with probably about 3 a week, and I'm probably much more casual about blogging. Again, blogging is number 2, my business is number 1. I guess that makes my family number 3, but no, I really don't. I really don't mean that.
Yes, you do.
So now, honestly, I have to say, weeks can go by between blog posts, but again, because it's not number 1, it's okay. The world is not going to come to an end. It's a part of my life. I blog when I'm inspired, and I don't want to force anything really. So it comes when it comes, and that's okay. You know, whatever your personal formula is, you know, just do it. And like I said, you know, most important thing for new bloggers, I just want to say again to be patient and don't look at the big global picture that, oh, I'm never going to be anywhere. You know, just write, and you know, you will. People will hear you. Someone's always looking at you.
Great. Well, I think a good note to end on, because I know there's probably more questions out in the audience, is for you each to kind of go down the line and say the best way to reach you, whether it's your Twitter handle, if you could spell it out, or, you know, your website, your blog, just so they can contact you afterwards. And of course, we'll have this posted on KBIS.com too, you know, within a couple weeks, so you can kind of catch it there too.
Well, the best way to reach me is go to my website, kbculture.com. There's a little box there. Contact me, ask me questions, send me stuff. I'll get it.
My blog is thekitchendesigner.org, and I also have a contact me area, and Twitter is Susan Serra, SerraCKD, and that's my Twitter handle, and I would love to, you know, for you to follow me, and I'll follow you back.
Kitchens.com is kitchens.com, and you can find us on Facebook by searching that, and also if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're kitchens_com.
The easiest way to reach me is Twitter. This has been the longest hour of this entire show. I have my iPad right here. You know, it's at dcoop, DCOOPSD.
The quickest way to reach me is on Twitter, Marilyn. It's MARILYN_Russell, 2 S's, 2 L's. I'm also on Facebook, Design Magnifique. My blog is design-magnifique.com. I'd love for you to reach out to me because I love to write and talk to people.
Okay. Well, thank you all for attending, and thank you guys. It's been very insightful.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
having us.